human exploration team lands on the world of Lupara at dawn. The sky is soft with pale light, and a mist rises from the ground. Lieutenant Harper steps from the shuttle first, feels the quiet weight of the strange air. His team follows, carrying equipment and supplies. They look around at towering trees with silver bark. The leaves whisper in a gentle wind. The ground is damp and soft under their boots. Every sound seems new and full of meaning. Harper unfolds a small scanner and sweeps it across the clearing. He notes signals of mineral traces and faint energy readings. He points toward a line of broken stone columns half hidden by vines. His voice is calm as he gives orders. "Set up the base camp here," he says. The others unload tents and instruments. One of them marks points on a holomap. Another records samples of moss and soil. They work with focused care, as if touching history itself. Beyond the clearing, the trees grow closer. Their tops form a high arch, almost like a roof. Harper leads his team down a narrow path. He moves slowly, scanning every branch and rock. Remembers training exercises on Earth. But nothing prepared him for Lupara's forest. Ancient carvings cover the stones. Strange symbols curl along the walls of a ruined temple. Harper traces them with his fingertip, careful not to disturb the surface. He wonders who carved these signs and what they meant. Somewhere overhead, a shape slips past. A pair of keen eyes watches the humans below. The Lupari pack stays hidden among the branches. They are tall and lean, covered in thick fur, patterned like moonlight on water. Their ears are sharp and pointed, and their muzzle shows quick, intelligent thought. The pack leader, a strong male with dark fur, growls softly when he sees the team. He gestures with a tail, and the others shift silent paws on the branch. One female Lupari, named Vera by her pack, feels an odd pull in her chest as she watches the humans. She is younger and more curious than most of her kind. She tilts her head, studying Harper's careful movements. She wonders why he stands so calm, even when her pack growls in warning. She smells the human's strange scent.
Right.
It carries hints of metal and stale fire. She remembers tales from her mother of foreign invaders, but something about this man seems gentle. Her heart thumps like a drum. As the humans clear a space for their camp, Vara slips lower to the forest floor. She moves with soft steps, brushing ferns aside. She hides behind a fallen log, eyes fixed on Harper. He kneels to gather plants, placing them in small jars. She watches the way he treats each sample with respect. He even lowers his voice as if the forest itself might listen. Vara feels her own pace slow. She wonders if the humans can be true friends, or if they will bring fear and war. Harper notices broken footprints in the mud. He frowns in thought and sweeps the scanner low. The readings jump as if something moved suddenly. He stands and peers into the green gloom. His hand rests on the grip of a small energy pistol, but he does not lift it. He knows fear can drive foolish actions. He whispers to his team, "Stay calm, they are watching. Let's show respect." The words float on the air. The forest holds its breath. Deep in the shadows, Vara lets out a soft growl. She steps forward and bares her teeth. Harper looks up and meets her gaze. The world seems to slow. His calm stance and gentle eyes make her wonder what he might do next. The team freezes, unsure if danger is near. Vara's fur bristles as she readies for a quick lunge. Her heart races. She is torn between guard duty and irresistible curiosity. In that moment, hunter and explorer lock eyes, and the first spark of something new appears. Vara's heart pounded in her chest as she crouched low behind the fallen log. She watched Harper move among his team with steady steps. The human knelt to examine a patch of blue ferns, holding one leaf between careful fingers. Vara's curiosity warred with her duty to protect her pack. She had never seen a creature so calm in the wild. A sudden shift of wind carried the scent of metal and earth. Vara stiffened, ears twitching, and she rose on all fours, her muscles coiled like springs. In one swift motion, she sprang into the clearing. Her teeth gleamed in the pale light as she lunged at Harper's arm. Her jaws closed around flesh, and she felt warm liquid flow between her teeth. Her instincts roared in triumph. Harper froze for a heartbeat, then gently placed both hands on Vara's shoulders. His eyes, calm and steady, met her own. He made no sudden moves. She expected pain and anger, but instead she saw only concern. Her claws slipped on soft fur as she hesitated, frozen by the shock of his reaction. Behind her, leaves rustled as the rest of the pack stilled. In an instant, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Harper released a soft word, almost a whisper. Vara felt his warm blood pulse on her teeth, but she did not taste hate. His voice was gentle. "It's okay." Vara's jaws softened, and she let go. She stumbled back, shaking. Harper stood, hands raised slowly in peace. His team formed. A loose circle, instruments lowered, eyes wide with surprise. One soldier held a medkit, ready but uncertain. Harper glanced at his arm. A red line traced across his sleeve, but he did not flinch. He looked at Vara as if she were simply another being in this strange land. The medic approached, kneeling. Beside Harper, she examined the puncture marks and began to clean the wound with antiseptic. Harper offered no resistance. He talked quietly to the medic about the sample data they had collected. Vara crouched across the clearing, ears flattened. In confusion and guilt, she sniffed the air. Tasting the strange scent of human metal and warmth mingled with the iron temps of her own bite, Harper's calm voice carried across the small space. "We mean no harm," he said. "We only want to learn." His words were simple and true. Vara's chest tightened. She had been raised to fear and to fight invaders, yet here was a human who felt no fear of her. He did not shout or call for weapons. He simply spoke. The medic finished cleaning the wound and wrapped a bandage around Harper's arm. Harper flexed his fingers, then smiled gently at Vara. She froze at the sight of his smile. It was not mocking or cruel, but kind. Her heart throbbed in her ears. She had expected growls and weapons. Instead, she found a friend. With a nod, Harper signaled his team to step back. The soldiers lowered their rifles and replaced them with scanners. One of them projected a small holomap showing the ruined temple and their camp. Harper gestured toward the ruined stones, then to Vara. He spoke softly, as if telling a story. Vara could not understand his words, but she sensed meaning. Tilted her head, curious.varr rose slowly and padded forward. She sniffed at the bandage on Harper's arm. He held still, allowing her to approach. She could see drops of blood dried on his sleeve. Her own guilt and curiosity swirled inside her. She lowered her muzzle and touched his arm with her nose. Harper's furrowed brow relaxed into a look of wonder. He reached out a hand and stroked her cheek, gentle as a breeze. Vara trembled, but did not pull away. Behind them, the forest watched. Birds paused their songs, insects hushed their wings. The pack remained hidden, unsure if they should intervene. Vara's pack leader growled softly in the branches above, warning her of danger. But Vara felt warmth where fear once lay. She turned her head and met Harper's gaze again. His calm presence eased the warning in her mind. Harper stood and beckoned to his team. The medic handed him a small scanner. He waved it across the bite site. The scanner beeped and projected data in the air. Vara watched bright symbols float. Above his arm, she saw no anger in his eyes, only curiosity. She took a cautious step closer. Harper moved his arm toward her, as if showing her the readings. Her whiskers touched the air as she sniffed the display. Harper spoke again. This time Vara felt a spark of understanding. Though she could not grasp his language, his tone told her he meant peace. He knelt to place the scanner on the ground. Then he reached into his pack and produced a small dish of sweet fruits. Harper set it on a flat stone and stepped back. He gestured toward the dish, then toward Vara, offering friendship. Vara hesitated. She had never shared a meal with a stranger, but something in Harper's gentle eyes invited her trust. She padded forward, lowered her head, and tasted a fruit. Its sweetness filled her mouth. She blinked in surprise, then nibbled another. Harper smiled, and the sound of his laughter was soft as wind through the trees. Vara's tail twitched. With delight, The pack leader dropped to a low branch and watched the scene unfold. Other pack members crept into view, each curious. They sniffed the air and studied the humans. Harper stood slowly and raised his hands in peace. He spoke in calm tones, and the pack relaxed. One by one, the Lupari stepped closer. Vara led them, her fur still bristling, but her heart open. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in pink and gold, humans and Lupari shared the clearing. Harper and Vara sat side by side, tasting fruits and trading curious glances. Harper pointed to the ruined temple and tapped his scanner as if telling its story. Vara pressed her ear to the cool metal surface, as if listening. The bond between them grew with each passing moment. By twilight, campfires glowed softly at the forest's edge. Human tents formed a circle around the clearing, and Lupari gathered on the forest floor. Harper rose and spoke in a clear voice. Though Vara did not understand his words, she felt their meaning in her bones. They would learn from each other. She dipped her head in agreement, and the pack murmured approval. In that moment, a fragile peace was born. Sfera's sharp teeth had met Harper's flesh, but his gentle heart had met her own. Under the rising stars of Lupara's night sky, two species bridged a gap of fear and curiosity, and neither would ever be the same again. Vara walked beside the human explorers as they followed a faint trail of glowing moss deeper into the forest. Indeed, she felt the weight of curious eyes on her back. The pack watched from the trees, unsure where her loyalty lay. Harper moved carefully, scanning the path with a handheld device. He made slow, deliberate steps, as if honoring every stone beneath his boots. The trees towered above, their silver bark reflecting soft beams of light. Strange vines curled around branches, and pale flowers opened to the twilight air. Harper paused to record notes on a small holotablet. Vara sniffed the air, catching scents of damp earth and distant rain. She felt a surge of pride guiding these fragile creatures through her home. Suddenly, the moss under Harper's foot crumbled, revealing a smooth stone surface. He knelt to brush away leaves and dirt. Vara peered over his shoulder, her ears twitching. The stone showed carved symbol circles and lines that pulsed with a faint light. Harper's eyes widened in wonder. He pressed a button on his scanner, and the symbols glowed brighter, as if recognizing a visitor. From the trees above, Vara's pack watched with growing alarm. The pack leader let out a low warning growl. Vara raised a paw in calm, signaling her kin to hold back. She felt a tug between her duty and the strange bond forming with the humans. She turned to Harper and nudged his shoulder gently, pointing with her nose toward a passage. Hidden behind hanging vines, Harper smiled and carefully pulled the vines aside. Behind them lay a narrow stair carved into living rock. The steps descended into darkness. He activated a soft light on his helmet, casting a warm glow that danced on the damp walls. Vara led the way, her claws clicking on stone, nose to the ground as she followed ancient scents. The tunnel opened into a circular chamber. Water dripped from a high ceiling into a shallow pool. Walls were covered in more symbol stories of an old civilization that once thrived here. Harper knelt and traced a symbol of two figures reaching toward each other. He spoke softly, though. Vara could not understand his tone, full of wonder and respect. Vara sat beside him, for damp with the chamber's cool air. She felt a rush of memories from her ancestors' tales of a time when humans and Lupari walked together. Those stories had faded into myth. Now, she saw proof in these glowing walls. Her heart swelled with hope and fear. Above them, a low rumble echoed. Water in the pool shivered, as if waking from slumber. Harper stood, eyes alert. Vara rose too, hackles prickling along her spine. A panel in the wall slid open, revealing a smooth pedestal. On it lay a small orb that pulsed with gentle light. The pulse matched Vara's own heartbeat. Harper approached the orb with open hands. Vara followed, muscles tense. He lifted it carefully and held it aloft. The light brightened, flooding the chamber with soft radiance. The symbols on the walls glowed in response, flickering like distant stars. Vara felt warmth spread through her fur. She recognized the orb as a beacon, something meant to guide friends home. From the passage behind, Vara's pack emerged, stepping into the chamber. Their eyes reflected the bright light. The pack leader growled, but Vara stepped between him and Harper. She lowered her head and pressed against Harper's side. He looked down, surprised, and held the orb higher so all could see. Harper spoke in calm tones. Though Vara could not follow his words, she sensed an offering of peace. Orb on a carved pedestal opposite the pool. Instantly the liquid surface shimmered and rose, forming a smooth tablet of water. The symbols shifted and danced across it, as if telling a living story. The pack stared in awe. A young Lupari raised a paw to the water screen, and the symbols paused as if waiting for touch. Vara nudged the young one gently, encouraging it. The pup tapped the water with a claw, and the images changed, showing scenes of humans and Lupari. Standing side by side, building, celebrating, teaching, Harper nodded and placed his hand over his heart, a sign of respect. In that moment, the pack understood the humans did not come as conquerors but as seekers of truth and friendship. The pack leader bowed his head slightly, acknowledging an ancient bond. Vara felt tears fill her eyes, though she was too proud to lower her muzzle. She looked at Harper, whose eyes glowed with gentle triumph. Harper spoke once more, then tapped his wrist device. A soft tone rose through the chamber, and his team outside raised their voices in respectful greeting. The echo of human words mingled with Lupari growls, creating a strange harmony. Vara's fur rippled as she sat tall, proud to stand between two worlds. Harper knelt again, and carefully lifted the orb. Vara watched as he placed it in a container that kept its light safe. He bowed his head to the pack, then turned to Vara, offering a gentle nod. She returned it, blinking back the moisture in her eyes. In that simple gesture, they sealed a promise of shared discovery. The team gathered around the edge of the chamber, setting up scanners and data recorders. Vara guided them to the carved symbols, pointing with her nose to obstacles and hidden markings. Harper recorded everything with awe, his voice low but excited. Vara felt a surge of pride teaching these newcomers about her world. Outside, the forest waited under a sky turned purple by setting suns. Torches glowed at the camp entrance, and Lupari sat in silent guard. Harper and Vara led the team back through the tunnel, every footstep filled with new purpose. Vara glanced at Harper, her tail brushing his leg in quiet thanks. Back in the clearing, the campfires flickered. Humans and Lupari mixed cautiously, sharing food and stories through gestures and broken sounds. Harper held the holotablet high, projecting images of the chamber's walls. Vara watched as humans gasped and pointed. Her chest swelled with joy. Her people and the explorers stood on the same ground for the first time in centuries. Harper laid out the orb on a flat stone and tapped his scanner. Data flickered in the air, and Vara saw her past, present, and future laid out in symbols and light. She reached out, touching the scanner gently. Harper smiled and placed his hand over hers. She felt a warm spark, like sunlight through leaves. As the night deepened, Harper stood and spoke in clear, strong tone. His words were simple, yet Vara understood their meaning. They would protect this place, share its secrets, and honor the bond reborn. Vara dipped her head in agreement. Pack rumbled in approval. Humans cheered softly, and Vara's heart leaped. Under the twin moons of Lupara, a new chapter began. Humans and Lupari sat together, sharing food and light. Vara curled beside Harper, her head resting on his boot. He reached down and stroked her fur. In that quiet moment, both knew their worlds had changed forever. Vara led Harper and his team deeper into the forest, her fur still damp from the tunnel's cool air. She felt both pride and worry. The pack watched from the shadows, ready to defend their home. Harper moved with care, scanning every root and branch. The humans carried tools and supplies, trusting Vara's guidance. As they walked, distant howls echoed through the trees. Vara's ears flattened. She recognized the call of a rival clan. They were larger and more aggressive, sworn to guard ancient secrets against all outsiders. Vara paused, her muscles tense. Harper knelt beside her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. She looked at his calm face, and felt courage stir. They reached a clearing where silver ferns grew in circles. Around a jagged stone, the ground here was worn as if many feet had passed. Harper set down his pack and activated his holomap. The map showed legends of sacred grounds where only the most trusted could pass. Vara sniffed the air, tasting danger. She nudged Harper. Pointing toward a narrow path veiled by hanging vines, Harper stood and brushed aside the vines. Vara padded through first, senses alert. He followed, careful not to disturb the vines too much. Behind them, the rest of the team formed a loose line. The pack stayed hidden, but Vara knew they watched every step. Her tail twitched as she waited. The path opened onto a stone platform high above a rushing river. Carved pillars marked the edges, each etched with symbols of guardianship. Vera turned to Harper, urging him to step carefully. He nodded and crouched to examine the carvings. He spoke softly to his team, describing the patterns and noting similarities to the chamber they had found. Vara felt pride that her people's history would be shared. Suddenly, a roar shattered the calm. From the opposite ridge, the rival clan emerged. They charged with fierce cries, paws pounding the earth. Vara's pack leaped from the trees to meet them. The two groups collided in a tangle of fur and snarls. Harper stood between them, arms raised. "Stop," he called in his clear voice. Though the Lupari did not understand every word, they heard the tone. The rival clan hesitated, growls dying in their throats. Vera barked a single command to her kin. They froze, eyes flicking between Vera and the humans. Harper spoke again, slower. He pointed to his heart, then to the rival leader. He tapped his scanner, showing data of shared discoveries. Vara pressed against her pack, urging them to trust. The rival leader's fur rippled as he sniffed the air. Vara advanced, standing tall beside Harper. She bared her teeth in a warning at the rival clan. The rival leader lowered his head. He sniffed the ground, testing the truth of Harper's offer. The river's roar and bird calls filled the silence as both sides waited. Finally, the rival leader let out a low growl of acceptance. Vara exhaled, relief washing through her. Harper smiled and knelt, opening his pack. He produced small pouches of food and offered them to the rival clan. At first, they stared, unsure. Then hunger took hold. They edged forward, tasting the offerings. Vara watched as the leader nibbled a fruit, then looked at Harper. The human reached out a gentle hand, and the Lupari leader allowed a cautious touch. With tensions eased, Harper and Vara stood at the platform's edge. The humans projected a hologram of the temple chamber's water screen. The rival clan crowded close, eyes wide with wonder. Vera nudged the leader, prompting him to touch the hologram. He tapped the air, and the symbol of two figures reaching appeared again. Vera saw his eyes soften. Harper spoke gently to the rival clan, pointing at the river below and the moss path behind. He used simple gestures to show peace and shared purpose. Vara mirrored his gestures, tapping her chest, then extending a paw. The rival leader dipped his head, signaling acceptance. Vara's tail swept the air in joy. As the sun slipped behind the trees, the two Lupari clans gathered with the humans on the platform. Harper unrolled a fabric banner and held it high. Vara saw symbols painted on its images of two figures, one human and one Lupari, reaching out. She traced the lines with her nose. The rival clan hissed softly, then bowed in respect. Harper then led a quiet ceremony. He spoke in low tones, and Vara felt the music in his voice. The rival clan listened, absorbing every sound. When he finished, he presented each clan leader with a small stone carved from the temple walls. Vara received hers as well. She held it in her mouth for a moment, tasting the smooth surface, then dropped it gently at Harper's feet, a sign of trust. The river's roar returned, and fireflies began to glow along the banks. Vara led the humans down a hidden path to the water's edge. Harper knelt and scooped water in his hands, then sipped. He offered water to Vara, who lapped gently. Behind them, the rival clan drank in turn. The human team gathered samples, careful not to contaminate the water, After the water ceremony, Vara guided Harper to a grove where ancient trees grew in a perfect circle. The humans and Lupari formed a ring, standing paw to hand. At Harper, eyes shining, he bowed his head. She bowed hers. The other Lupari copied, and the humans followed suit. In that circle, fear dissolved. Night fell, and lanterns glowed softly on the platform. Humans and Lupari shared food and stories through gestures and growls. Vara curled beside Harper, her head resting on his boot. He reached down and stroked her fur. She purred, a deep, gentle sound echoing in the clearing. Harper tapped his wrist device and projected maps of future plans. He spoke of sharing knowledge and protecting the forest. Vara watched, her heart full. She knew challenges would come, but she also knew they would face them together. As the stars filled the sky, Vara looked at the two clans united around her. Humans and Lupari sat side by side, guardians of a reborn treaty. She glanced at Harper, whose eyes reflected starlight. In that moment, she understood the true power of friendship and trust. The forest around them seemed to hum with approval, and Vara knew she had changed the fate of her people forever. Vara woke before dawn, her fur cool with early mist. She stretched and padded from the camp toward the ancient trees. The forest was quiet, save for distant bird calls. Harper rose too, tying his gear with care. He saw Vara vanish into the trees and followed at a gentle pace. He wanted to honor the Lupar's trust. Vara led him to a hidden grove, where ferns glowed pale in the dim light. She touched each plant softly as if greeting old friends. Adored! Harper knelt and ran his fingers over the fronds, marveling at their soft texture. He held a small recorder to capture the sound of rippling leaves. Vara watched, ears tilted, pleased that he respected her home. As the sun rose, the camp stirred. Humans packed supplies and prepared sensors. Vara returned and guided them along a narrow path. She pointed with her muzzle toward a stone embankment draped in vines. Harper tapped his map to mark the location, then gently cut a few creeping vines to reveal a carved door. The symbols were faded, but Harper recognized shapes from the chamber below with cautious hands. Harper brushed dirt from the door's surface. Vara pressed her cheek to his side, waiting. The human team set up lights and tools. One soldier carefully pried the door's edge with a flat tool. It groaned and slid open, revealing darkness within. Harper flicked on his helmet light and stepped inside. Vara followed, her paws silent on stone. Inside lay a long corridor. Walls were lined with niches, once holding artifacts. Dust covered every surface. Harper shone his light on a row of stone urns. He knelt and ran his scanner over them. Data appeared in the air, dates, names, designs. God aloud, guardians of memory. Vara sniffed the urns, sensing the weight of years. They moved deeper until they reached a round chamber. A low pedestal stood in its center, empty except for a circular indentation. Above it, a carved mural showed figures standing before a great tree. Harper studied the mural, his brow furrowed. Vara pressed her nose to the stone, tracing its lines. She felt a pull, as if the tree itself sang in her bones. Harper spoke softly. This must be the memory hall. He lifted a small device from his pack. Vara tilted her head, curious. He placed the device in the indentation. It hummed and glowed, projecting a soft light. The mural animated. Figures approached the tree, placed objects at its roots, then stepped back as roots glowed and branches swayed. Vara watched, enraptured. Seconds later, the projection faded. Harper looked at Vara, eyes bright. He said, "They stored knowledge here." Vara nodded, as if confirming his words. She padded to the edge of the chamber and sniffed the ground. Her claws tapped a loose tile. Harper knelt and pried it up, revealing a small box carved of the same stone. Inside lay a seed, dark and smooth. Harper lifted the seed with reverence. He held it in his palm, feeling its weight. "It's from the memory tree," he whispered. Vara licked her lips, awed. She remembered legends of a tree that could store the essence of a life. The seed carried that power now. Harper gently placed it in a pouch and closed the box. He bowed his head to the mural and Vara bowed too. They retraced their steps, led by Vara's sure guidance. The forest welcomed them with rustling leaves. At camp, the Lupari pack waited. Vara stepped forward and tapped her paw on Harper's knee. He knelt and held the pouch high. The pack circled close, their growls soft with wonder. Harper opened the pouch and revealed the seed. The pack leaned in, sniffing. The pack leader let out a low breath. He pressed his nose to the seed, then looked. To Harper, the human spoke in calm tones, and the leader nodded. Vara yipped softly, her tail flicking in delight. Humans and Lupari alike reached out, reverent of the seed's promise. That afternoon, Harper and the Lupari elders gathered beneath the nightwood tree. Its trunk was wide and ancient, branches spread like a living roof. Harper placed the seed in a shallow hollow near the roots. Vara stood guard, ears alert. The humans and Lupari formed a circle around the tree. Harper spoke in gentle words, and the Lupari responded with soft growls. The language was different, but the meaning clear. Honor, unity, respect. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves overhead. Sunlight filtered through branches, illuminating the seed. Vara stepped forward and licked the nest of moss around it. Harper murmured, "May your memory grow." Together, they turned away, leaving the seed and tree to their own magic. As the group walked back to camp, Vara felt a new sense of purpose. She and Harper had unlocked a sacred site. She knew the knowledge stored would guide both their peoples. Harper carried the pouch of data crystals they had recovered. Vara sniffed at it, excited to share what they had learned. That night, campfires burned bright. Humans and Lupari sat together, examining artifacts and trading stories through gestures. Harper projected images of the mural and seed site. Vara lay at his feet, content. The forest around them seemed alive, every rustle and call a song. Suddenly, the sky darkened with storm clouds. Distant thunder rumbled. Rain began to fall in gentle sheets. Humans and Lupari hurried to secure equipment. Harper knelt to cover the seed pouch with a waterproof case. Vara shook her fur and let the rain wash over her. She raised her muzzle and braced against the wind. Harper stood beside her, hand on her shoulder. He spoke softly. "We will keep it safe." Vara pressed her head against his leg. They both watched as the storm swept through the clearing. The fireflies fled their lanterns, and the forest exhaled in relief when the rain eased. After the storm, a double rainbow arched overhead. Humans cheered softly, and the Lupari howled in joy. Vara padded into the clearing and stood beneath the rainbows. Harper joined her, looking up at the colors. In that moment, they both understood the promise of new beginnings. The next morning, Harper and Vara prepared to journey to the next site. They packed tools, provisions, and the precious seed. The pack gathered to bid them farewell. The leader bowed, Vara yipped in farewell, and humans and Lupari embraced in parting gestures. Vara felt both sadness and excitement. As they departed, Harper glanced back at the grove. The memory tree stood tall, its branches glowing faintly. In dawn light, Vara walked alongside Harper, her stride confident. Together, they faced the path ahead to friends bound by trust, ready to uncover more secrets of Lupera and share them with the galaxy. Vara and Harper rose before the sun once more. Dew clung to the silver ferns, and the air was fresh with promise. Harper checked his gear while Vara padded in circles, eager for the day's journey. Today they would reach the final site marked on the ancient map. Both felt a mix of excitement and sadness. Their time in Lupara's heart was drawing to a close. They set off along a winding trail that climbed toward misty hills. Vara led the way, nose to the ground, ears pricked for hidden dangers.
Now Harper
Followed closely, carrying the pouch of data crystals and the sealed seed of the memory tree. Behind them, the human team and a handful of Lupari scouts walked in loose formation. Each step brought them closer to a final revelation. As they climbed, the forest changed. Silver trees gave way to tall pines, and the ground underfoot grew firm and rocky. Sunlight pierced the canopy in pale shafts, lighting dust motes in the air. Harper paused to record the shift in vegetation. Vara sniffed the breeze, tasting the hint of a distant waterfall. The sound of water drew them onward. At midday, they reached a plateau. Below, a broad valley lay hidden behind a curtain of mist. At its center, they could just glimpse the outline of a vast stone circle. Harper's eyes brightened. He signaled the team to rest and took out his holomap. The circle matched the map's final marker, the gathering ring of old. Vara studied the valley with calm pride. Her ancestors had built this place to unite clans in peace and celebration. Over centuries, the gathering ring had fallen into legend. Now humans and Lupari would stand together in that ancient circle once more. They descended a gentle slope, mist swirling around their ankles. Harper held his scanner out, calling up readings of faint energy traces. The data crystals pulsed with soft light. Each step seemed to wake the valley. Vara's pack moved ahead, paused silent on moss and stone. The humans followed, awed by the view. At the valley's floor, they found the stone circle. Tall pillars stood in a perfect ring, each carved with symbols of unity, clasped paws and hands, rising suns and branching roots. Grass and vines wove between pillars, as if the land itself guarded the site. Harper knelt to brush away fallen leaves from the base of a pillar. Vara crouched beside him, tail resting on his boot. Harper held up the data crystals. He placed them in a carved recess in the central pillar. The crystals glowed, casting gentle colors on the stone. Vara watched as the symbols responded, shimmering with life. The energy readings jumped, and a low hum filled the air. The humans and Lupari stood in silent wonder. Then Vara stepped forward and tapped the central pillar with her paw. Her claws traced a symbol of two figures reaching across a divide. Harper smiled and placed his hand over hers. To pillar they pressed. The pillar's glow deepened, and a soft vibration spread through the ground. Vines curled away, revealing a hidden pool of clear water set into the earth. Harper knelt and scooped a handful of water, letting it run slowly through his fingers. Vara dipped her muzzle and drank. Behind them, the pack approached and drank as well. Harper spoke in quiet tones, and the Lupari listened. Though the sounds were different, Vara felt their meaning, a promise of unity between species. As the light shifted, the circle came fully alive. Symbols danced like living stories on the pillars. Images of humans and Lupari from ages past appeared, building, sharing, celebrating beneath the sky. Vara stepped around the circle, touching each pillar. Harper followed, recording every symbol with his holotablet. He captured the living history of a bond long hidden. When the projection ended, silence returned. Harper rose and faced the pack. He spoke simply. "We will honor this place." Vara dipped her head, and the pack growled softly in approval. The human team and Lupari scouts formed a circle, paw to hand. In that moment, every barrier dissolved. Harper retrieved the seed and held it aloft. He spoke again, voice strong and clear. Vara looked up at him, eyes shining. He pressed the seed into her padded palm. Vara held it for a heartbeat, then dropped it into the water pool. Ripples spread, washing over the carvings. The seed sank, and the pool's surface shone like glass. A gentle breeze stirred the pillars. Sunlight broke through the mist, flooding the circle with golden light. Vara raised her muzzle and howled softly. Harper joined with a clear laugh. The sound echoed across the valley and reached distant peaks. Behind them, the forest and hills answered in kind. After the ceremony, the group set up camp at the edge of the stone circle. Harper and Vara sat by a small fire, sharing simple rations of fruit and roasted roots. The Lupari pack curled around them, protective and proud. Harper offered Vara a piece of sweet berry. She ate it slowly, savoring the taste. He smiled, ache and joy in his eyes. Late that night, under a sky full of spinning stars, Harper spoke softly to Vara. He thanked her for her guidance, her trust, and her friendship. Vara pressed her head against his shoulder, understanding every word in her heart. She had found a friend in him, and he had found respect for her world. The next morning, farewells began. Humans loaded shuttles with data crystals, samples, and precious stones carved from the temple. Lupari elders presented Harper with gifts, a carved pendant showing the stone circle, and a pouch of memory dust from the gathering ring. Vara yipped in farewell, her tail sweeping the air. Harper knelt and hugged her neck, careful not to hurt her fur. As the shuttle's engines hummed, Harper pressed his palm to the viewport. Vara sat on the ground below, head raised high. The pack stood around her, silent. Harper whispered, "We will return." Vara's ears flicked, and she let out a hopeful howl. The shuttle lifted, carrying humans away. But the valley remained alive with promise. High above Lupera, Harper gazed at the memory tree's seed nestled in its container. The data crystals glowed softly at his console. He spoke into the come. Mission complete. New alliance formed, preparing for departure. His voice was calm, but his heart soared. Var watched the sky long after the shuttle vanished. The pack pressed close, offering quiet comfort. She looked at the stone circle one last time. Then she turned and padded back toward the forest, carrying the gift of renewed unity in her heart. In the days that followed, word of Lupera's rediscovered bond spread across human space. Scholars and explorers spoke of the world where humans and Lupari stood side by side beneath ancient pillars. For Lupera, the gathering ring glowed again, its legacy reborn. And for Harper and Vera, distance could not dim the friendship they had forged. Two species had come together, and the galaxy would never forget the day when a growl became a greeting and a bite became a bridge.